This episode of Kermitment is brought to you by us. That's right. You can now go to kermitmentstuff.com for all your Kermitment merchandise needs.
Matt, we got hats. We got shirts. We got pins. If you want like a sponge or something, maybe not all your needs, but we got hats and shirts.
Yeah, and if you buy enough hats, shirts, pins, and stickers, maybe one day we'll have a sponge. A food sponge.
Oh, the guy,
the Muppet Food, yeah. So if you're into niche references like food, the Muppet, the Kermitment merch might just be for you because we have a shirt that says, I bit Rolf's nose, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt and a restraining order from Disney.
Yeah, so if you want people to be asking you about your shirt all the time, this is the shirt for you.
I do want to give a quick shout out while we're talking about this to @Schnoopadoop on Twitter, Allison, who was one of the people who actually suggested doing a shirt like the I bit Rolf's nose and all I got was this lousy t-shirt shirt. So thank you very much for that idea, Allison. And, the middle ground of one you still might have to explain to some people, but not quite as niche as Sam's desire to chomp down on Rolf's nose, is our shirt that says Don Saline makes a hell of a puppet.
Yeah, you'll get to say, it's a guy who made the Muppets, and you won't have to say, it's these two guys who make a Muppet podcast, and they talk about kissing Miss Piggy on the lips.
Yeah, don't mention that part to your mom.
Please.
But on top of those t-shirts, we also still have the Kermitment logo enamel pin. We have a forest green hat with Keep Believing, Keep Pretending embroidered on the front of it. And we have a Kermitment sticker set, which includes our podcast logo, our little green monster guy from the logo, a Don Saline Makes a Hell of a Puppet sticker, and our No Thogs Allowed sticker, because we don't like that guy.
Show the world you hate this nasty freak.
So again, that is kermitmentstuff.com or even, kermitment.com. There'll be a link there. You can go to kermitment.com/shop. Anywhere you want to go, any of those options.
You're going to have to try not to go to this shop, basically, is what Matt's saying.
Exactly.
It sets itself as your homepage when you go there.
Only if you're using Netscape, though. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to use it on Chrome. So yeah, one last time, that's kermitmentstuff.com for all your Kermitment merch needs.
Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz here with you. Kermitment After Dark. That's what this edition is called. Kermitment Nights.
I mean, it's like 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's still very bright outside.
We're old, so this is about dinner time.
Yeah, we got to head over to IHOP for our early dinner right after this.
Geriatric. We're going to hit the early bird special just to save a penny.
I was going to say Denny's, and our Denny's just closed. We don't even have a Denny's anymore, Sam.
No, we don't have a Denny's.
We have a Cracker Barrel.
We should go. I've never been to Cracker Barrel before.
Well, first you have to learn how to pronounce it before they'll let you in.
Well, you have to stand there and they say, what's the password? Cracker Barrel.
You've never been there, so yes, that is the rules. Well, we're not here this week to talk about Cracker Barrel. It might come up again. Who knows? But we're actually here this week to talk about something that we've taken a few weeks away from, but we have now returned down to Fraggle Rock. Specifically, Fraggle Rock Season 2, because today we are going to be discussing episodes 17 through 20 of Season 2, titled Fraggle Wars, The Day the Music Died, Doomsday Soup, and A Cave of One's Own.
It's the dark night of the Fraggles. It's a bad time for them.
It's an interesting time for them. A lot happens to them in this very short period of time that we watched this week. But before we get into that, Sam, we got an update. Hot off the presses here on the I Forgot to Wax the Dog saga.
What?
That has been plaguing Kermitment for the past few weeks here.
This is amazing.
I'm going to say it's a somewhat helpful update.
Okay.
So, for those that maybe don't remember this or haven't heard us talk about it, a while back when we were watching the Season 2 Fraggle Rock episode, All Work and All Play, I think it's episode 8 of this season, when they are getting ready to head to Cotterpin's helmet ceremony in that episode, in the episode, Wingnut, her mother, addresses a group of family members that are all getting ready to go to Cotterpin's ceremony and says to Granny Cantilever, "Why don't you just stand over there? Cotterpin will be here any minute." And then turns to the camera and says, "Oh no, I forgot to wax the dog."
What could it mean? Who knows? No
Great
one knows.
question. Somebody who doesn't necessarily know, but was able to shed a little bit of light on the situation is Colin Gorman, who wrote into our email address, mail@kermitment.com, with a somewhat helpful update, like I said. And basically, because this line raised so many questions during our podcast, Colin tried to get to the bottom of it and figured out that what we looked at one point to verify that this line was actually the way I heard it was actually a transcript website, not a script website.
Oh, important distinction.
Colin found the original script. And when I say it's a somewhat helpful update, it does not make things any less confusing, but it does add some information to the situation.
Okay.
I am now going to read to you Wingnut's lines.
This is going to make me mad, isn't it?
Yes. From this section of the episode. You can picture it. They're all clamoring out of the Doozer home there.
Excited for the big day.
Yep. Wingnut says, "I want to thank you all for coming to see my daughter get her helmet today. Oh, Cousin Ballpeen, could you put the cake in the kitchen? Granny Cantilever, why don't you just stand over there? Cotterpin will be here in a minute. Oh, Nephew Deadbolt, honey, don't play with the dog. I just waxed him."
I mean, that is a little less confusing because the waxing part still doesn't make a lot of sense, obviously.
Yes.
But I think the really confusing thing about the dog was like what role it played in their lives and how big or small this dog might be.
We still don't really
know, but we know it fits in their house and that they're playing with it.
Yeah, Colin had some theories that they were throwing out in the email about maybe this being a mechanical dog, like a Doozer dog, that maybe they wrote in the script, and the people creating the puppets were like, "Yeah, can we not, though, for a one-off joke, make a whole Doozer dog?" Or maybe decided, we don't really know what that would look like, so can we just cut it out?
They should have just cut it all the way out.
Yeah, you might want to, because it's weird that one part is left in. Like, that's the solution to the problem.
That the line is that she's embarrassed that she forgot to wax the dog because the mom's going to see it.
So, yeah, unfortunately, until we maybe can get whoever, was around working on Fraggle Rock on that episode to answer the question of what was the thinking behind a Doozer dog and it being waxed.
It's got to be a robot.
It's got to be. But waxing your robot is also a weird thing.
I'm picturing him like a car, like obviously it's like a car, but that the dog has some kind of like beautiful exterior that you got to keep really clean, Well, that shed almost no light on anything, but I guess I can understand that there was an intent behind the joke and that it was originally written as a joke that made sense, and then something horrible happened somewhere along the way.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily shed light as much as it shined like an adjacent, different light next to the other light. Right. Just like, hey, these two lights exist. And they don't clear anything up, but here's more information.
I don't agree that they don't clear anything up because it does really clearly cast this dog, like just to say don't play with the dog, like to be embarrassed about your unwaxed dog is much weirder than saying don't touch my waxed dog, right?
Yeah, I guess because I just brushed or bathed my dog or something, and somebody came over and was gross and sticky hand and went to pet my dog, and I was like, "Oh no, wait, I just bathed her." I guess that's kind of the same thing.
Gross to mess up
that's the thing is, I guess if you're going for the don't make him less shiny angle because you waxed him, maybe it's more like the car, like you said, of somebody coming over after I just got my car washed and they go to lean on my car and be like, "Oh, come on, man,
come on,
peanut
butter hands." Yeah, but it turns it from like It's almost in the original form. It's like a double entendre. Almost,
like she forgot to poop before she left the house.
Yeah, what does this mean? Wax the dog?
No, hold on a minute. I gotta wax the
old dog. Yeah.
Next time I'm late to podcasting, I'm just gonna text you and be like, "Sorry, Sam, I'm late. I gotta wax the dog."
Waxing the dog.
Who
up waxing their dog?
You can interpret that however you'd like.
We gotta make a T-shirt that says that. Who up waxing their dog?
Well, maybe. But for now, Sam, how about we tell the people what we watched this week?
First up, Fraggle Wars, which originally aired April 23rd, 1984. Moki and Red are out on a camping trip when they run across something amazing, another community of Fraggles. Things quickly go bad, though, as Moki goes up to the new Fraggles to introduce herself and they throw her in a cage. Red runs back to Fraggle Rock for help, where the world's oldest Fraggle tells everybody about the ancient rivalry between the Fraggles we know and love and the humorless, order-loving Fraggles that captured Moki. The world's oldest Fraggle decides that it's time to settle things between the two camps once and for all and declares war. Meanwhile, Moki's doing her Moki thing, being weird and happy in annoying ways that are forbidden by these Fraggles. However, the Fraggle guarding her cage, named Beige, is starting to think that maybe Moki's not so bad. Meanwhile, the Fraggle Rock Fraggles dust off their ancient weapons and armor and march off to war. Along the way, the world's oldest Fraggle tells Red more about the Fraggle rivalry, revealing that ultimately what caused the rift is that the two groups didn't think the same things were funny. Red thinks this is a pretty stupid reason to go to war, so she goes off on a solo sneaking mission to save Moki and prevent a battle. When she gets to the cage, she finds that Beige is there to save Moki too. The two Fraggles decide that they have more in common than not and hatch a plan to stop the fighting. Soon, the two Fraggle armies meet, and right as the catapults are about to let loose and the carnage begin, Red and Beige throw a pie into the face of the leaders of the two armies, causing all the Fraggles to unite in laughter. The moral: war is stupid, we're all like the same deep down inside, and a pie in the face is universally funny. Up in outer space, Doc and Ned Schimmelfinney are engaged in an ever-escalating prank war until basically Sprocket decides that it's getting super annoying and threatens to move out unless Doc surrenders, which he does obviously because he can't live without Sprocket. Next up, The Day the Music Died, original air date April 30th, 1984. It is time, yet again, for another song-based ceremony to take place in Fraggle Rock. This time it must be decided who will write the Glory Song, the song chronicling this generation's of Fraggles' feats, discoveries, and all that other kind of stuff. The storyteller picks Gobo's name out of the Gourd of Guidance to write the song, but Gobo is more of an explorer than a songwriter and does not want to do it. The storyteller says basically tough shit, and off Gobo goes to write the generation-defining chronicle of his people. But the really annoying thing about trying to write a song in Fraggle Rock is that everybody is singing all the damn time. Eventually, Gobo gets fed up from all of the distracting singing and tells his friends to cram it. And then his friends go off and they tell everybody else that they have to cram it too. And out of respect for the creative process, they do. But Fraggles were born to sing, so they quickly get very bored and emotionally pent up, not to mention all of the lights in the cave are starting to flicker on and off, which is very annoying. But the light thing is quickly revealed to be more than just annoying, it's a burgeoning ecological disaster. It turns out that the light in Fraggle Rock is provided by little bioluminescent creatures called Ditzies, and the Ditzies are dying. As the Ditzies die and the cave gets darker, all the Fraggles start to fall asleep for some reason. I think I missed why they were falling asleep.
I think it just seemed like, sunlight, the light from the Ditzies sort of sustains them from like an energy level. Sort of like a super extreme seasonal depression kind of thing. If you don't get enough vitamin D, get out there, get your sunlight. In Montana, this is a big problem because the sun doesn't shine for like 7 months. And if you don't get enough vitamin D, you get sleepy. And this just seems like it affects them in a really dramatic, quick way.
So there's not like a very specific line that says why they are falling asleep.
If there was, I also missed it because when they have the realization of what's causing it is when Gobo has a lantern and he's like, oh, I think that this is the only thing keeping us awake. And then it goes out and he's like, ugh. So,
right.
Yeah.
Lots of strange lore going on in this episode. And no one knows why the Ditsies are dying. Eventually, things start to get out of hand, and Gobo puts aside the glory song to ask the trash heap what the fuck is happening. The trash heap is in an annoying mood and tells Gobo that the only way to fix things is just to keep doing what Fraggles do, but she won't even really say what that thing is that Fraggles do. So Gobo decides the only choice is to evacuate the rock and go outside into the light of the Gorg Garden. But when he goes back home, he finds that everyone is asleep and there's no way that he can get everyone out before he himself falls asleep. So he does what any Fraggle would do in such a dire situation. He starts to sing. And it turns out that singing was the thing that the trash heap was talking about all along. Because as Gobo sings, Ditsies begin to rejuvenate all around him, rousing more Fraggles from their sleep until everybody is back awake and singing, and the cave's all lit up again. Great job, Gobo. The moral? Everything is connected? Is this something about the environment? I'm not really sure.
I would think so. Do you think the trash heap was actually helpful, or do you think that's like the default advice that she can offer?
That's just one of the things she says.
Like if you came to me with a problem and I said, do what humans do, that's not helpful at all.
Or even just keep doing what you're always doing.
Yeah, keep on trucking.
I'd be like, oh, okay. Matt just doesn't have time for me today, I guess.
No, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess she just has like these programmed, like, I don't actually know the solution to this problem things to say. And this one just happened to be right. Because I think if you went back through, there'd be other ones that weren't right, probably, maybe.
Yeah, or at least it's sort of like the Uncle Traveling Matt postcard thing, where the Fraggles are like, I guess that does make sense. Or it does all connect and helps us out. And she's probably just swiping the sweat off her brow like, whew, glad that worked out. I had nothing today.
Yeah. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is trying to devise a way to communicate with animals, starting with Sprocket. He tries in vain until Sprocket reminds him that they communicate all the damn time, even if they aren't literally having a two-way conversation, and Doc accepts that, I guess. Next, Doomsday Soup, which aired May 7th, 1984. Boober is trying to whip up a batch of radish gumbo at the same time as he's trying to do laundry and ends up sort of messing both of these things up. He dejectedly pours his gumbo water into his laundry water to toss it all out, but the combination makes something unbelievable happen. Anything exposed to this laundry soup mixture temporarily turns invisible. The Fraggles quickly realize that they can use this to their advantage, since they'll be able to steal radishes from the Gorgs far more efficiently if they are invisible. And they do, and it works. But Boober just doesn't trust this potion because he doesn't trust anything. And then especially when it starts glowing and burbling so violently that it shakes the whole cave. So Boober tells his friends that they got to get rid of this evil concoction before it blows them all up. But they say that it is too useful to dump and that he's just worried about nothing. So Boober takes things into his own hands and drags the potion out to the Gorg Garden in broad daylight to get rid of it. Pa Gorg ends up chugging the soup and then steam shoots out of his ears and he flies around and the day is saved. The moral, I don't know. Is this one about drugs or guns? They say it too good to be true. Don't trust something that's too good to be true.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is, from Boober's point of view, at least.
Don't take shortcuts, or else you're gonna end up in trouble.
I guess, but that's one where I struggle to see the bad. Aside from, yes, it does turn out to be explosive, but maybe in moderation.
Right, or you can make a little bit and then you dump it out, Dump it down one of the bottomless holes that they have all over the place.
It didn't explode immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems useful. It doesn't make anything bad happen to you. It just is going to explode, right?
Yeah, that still sounds bad.
Okay, well, maybe it's about drugs. Meanwhile, up in outer space, all of the shaking soup is screwing up Doc's plumbing, so he's fixing the plumbing. Finally, A Cave of One's Own, which aired May 14th, 1984. Red and Moki seemingly don't live anywhere in particular, but spend most of their time hanging out in Gobo and Wimbley's cave. One day, Wimbley gets a little sick of their freeloading and tells them that they need to go find their own place so that the boys can have some boy time, Red and Moki like the sound of that and quickly find the perfect spot, a beautiful flower-filled cave overlooking the Fraggle pool. They decide to move in, at which point things start to go off the rails. Like, Red has a ton of stuff and Moki is more of a minimalist. Moki likes to wake up at the crack of dawn and ring a big old gong a lot of times, and Red kind of likes to sleep in a little bit. And Moki has a carnivorous plant named Lanford that keeps trying to eat Red, which seems a lot worse than some of the other stuff, but whatever. The girls do their best to make things work and be polite to each each other despite all of these annoyances, but things boil over during their cave warming party when a game of tug-a-tail instigated by Red smashes some stuff up. Moki gets super pissed and retaliates by throwing Red out of the window of their apartment and into the Fraggle pool. They decide that they aren't friends anymore, and they continue to fight and throw each other out of the window for a few days until they have a big blowout argument and each tell each other what's really bugging them. They're both trying to be too nice and accommodating, and they aren't being themselves. They agree to be brutally honest with each other from now on. Red and Lanford warm up to each other, and they even discover that it's actually super fun to jump out of their window into the pool. Hooray! The moral: relationships and cohabitation are all about compromise, learning about each other, and finding a way to live your life both parallel to and intersecting with another person's life. And honesty is the best policy. These were some clear-cut morals. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc is pissed because someone is turning the old captain's house next door into a bed and breakfast. Doc thinks this will ruin his nice, quiet neighborhood, and he tries to put a stop to it until he discovers that the bed and breakfast owner is a total fox and his horniness outweighs his need for peace. And there's a hot dog, too, for Sprocket.
Yeah, Airedale, named Marigold.
The hottest dogs. Airedales. I don't actually know what an Airedale is. I think I'm picturing an Afghan.
An Airedale is not the hottest dog.
Oh, what? That's it?
I had an Airedale when I was a kid.
This dog's not hot.
This dog ain't hot.
It should have been Afghan.
Quick,
Afghan's
Sam,
hot.
hottest dog, go.
Afghan, I've said it 8 times already.
Do you think it should be specifically the Afghan hound we've seen on the Muppet Show?
No, all, because they have beautiful hair.
They do have that, they got the Rachel.
I was going to say literally the same exact thing. They all have the Rachel.
That's the Jennifer Aniston of dogs.
And Sprocket, this dog looks like it would be Sprocket's type. I think Sprocket is extremely shallow, probably, when it comes to his sexual partners. You know what? They were probably sitting in the writer's room and they were like, gosh, we have all these dog ideas. Let's make Dog City.
That's what happened. They're like, how do we make these dogs attracted to each other? That doesn't really fit into this show, but we should make a whole show about that.
We keep writing about how hot these dogs are.
What if we made a whole show of hot dogs?
I have a delightful idea.
All right, what if we called it Hot Dog City? Well, that's going to be confusing. What if we just lost the hot part?
Oh, I wish it was called Hot Dog City, where all the dogs are hot.
Well, elsewhere in the Muppet world, Jim Henson was writing in his Red Book some helpful things for us to see what he was up to. April 23rd, 1984, he wrote, Heather comes to London with me, UK Puppet Festival. So he's doing some more traveling, bringing the kids along. Then on April 27th, 1984, he writes, talk to Muriel Peters about Java. Okay. Now, to those in the Muppet fandom world, the word Java means something. Mm-hmm. This does not seem to be about the Java one might assume when reading Jim Henson's journal. Muriel Peters is somebody who produced and wrote on a few different projects throughout the years, some documentaries, some movies. I cannot tell if she's still alive. Her website seems like it was last updated in 2018 with some truly bizarre blog posts, but I did try to glean some information from this because there is nothing about it in Jim's Red Book other than just the sentence, talk with Muriel Peters about Java. In looking into it, I think this can be one of two things. The most likely thing is that during this time, Muriel Peters was the executive producer of a series called Inner Space to Outer Space, which was a trilogy of films on Indonesia, which is where Java is, the actual Java.
Okay.
And so this was something that she was doing between 1984 and 1987. So this could have just been Jim having a conversation with a woman about the place Java and maybe going there. Who knows?
Doesn't seem worth writing down.
Doesn't. Okay. But it made it into the Jim's Red Book. The other potential thing, this is purely speculation. One of the last updates on Muriel Peters' website is saying that she's currently working on a project that, as far as I know, still has never gotten made, but at least she wanted to do it in 2018. It's something called The Hidden Force, and it's based on a Dutch classic novel, and it is set in turn-of-the-century Java. And this deals with a Dutch colonial administrator's discovery of the hidden forces of Java, including mystical, political, and emotional. Now, to me, if this is something that she was kicking around for 40 years, that feels like a movie Jim Henson would maybe do or at least be talked to about after doing something like the Dark Crystal.
Right.
So, again, complete speculation. There is nothing to support that claim I am making that I think that's what happened. But I would guess it was one of the two things. Either the super boring one, where he just talked to a woman about going to Java, or talking to her about this movie that maybe she was kicking around for years.
Right, and it maybe changed the name of the movie to Java.
I mean, it could just be Jim's way of writing things down too, because right. he summarizes things oddly in his journal sometimes. So who knows? And the very last thing in Jim's Red Book from this time period is from May 14th through May 17th, 1984. He wrote In Holland for Triangle, which is like the name of a puppet show, I believe. Mm-hmm. Henk and Ons Burwinkle for Jim Henson Presents. John H. comes along. That's his son. He calls him John H.
Well, he probably knows a lot of Johns, My son, he said, my beloved son, John.
My boy. But this was a trip to Meppel, Holland. Definitely going to pronounce some words incorrectly here. Apologize. This is in May 1984. He went with his younger son, John, and this apparently marked the beginning of production on an episode featuring the Dutch performers, Henk and Ons Burwinkle, to be in an episode of the Jim Henson Presents, which is a show that we'll be talking about in the fall. I believe in September is when we start talking about this show.
Oh, so this show's almost going already.
Yeah.
I thought we were several years away from that.
No. This is only like a 5 or 6 episode thing that's potentially quite boring, Sam. Okay. I think we're going to try and maybe do 2 episodes of it at a time because it's long, but I can't imagine we're going to have a ton to say about other people's puppetry. But yeah, that's what else Jim was up to in this time. So, jumping in to April 23rd, 1984, we have the Fraggle Wars episode, written by Laura Phillips and directed by George Bloomfield. This episode notably has no Gobo or any Jerry Nelson characters, no Uncle Traveling Matt, and no Gorgs.
Yeah, what's going on?
I don't know. Maybe it's a money-saving episode or something, but there's so many other new characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in this episode.
I mean, sometimes on shows, I don't think this would be the case with Jerry Nelson since he was a regular, but sometimes with like guest starring roles or other sets, when they're going to be introducing a bunch of new props, characters, etc., they save money by not having to use other sets or other actors that week. So I'm wondering if because they had to introduce all the new Fraggles from the cave, they were like, all right, well, what can we scale back this week? Mm-hmm. So an Uncle Traveling Matt segment seems like a good thing to save money on.
But also in a lot of these shows, all the main cast have a thing where they have to be in every episode. But maybe this doesn't. I
don't think Jerry Nelson was trying to negotiate $1 million an episode or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I am basing that off of
Friends.
Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, we start off the prank war with Schimmelfinny putting a fake spider in Doc's front seat. Doc claims he hates practical jokes. But he does have a hand buzzer readily at hand to get him back.
I feel like he's played several practical jokes. That just is the vibe I'm getting off of him, but maybe we've never seen him do one. He seems like quite the jokester, though.
He seems like, appropriately so, proven by this episode, somebody who would be bad at pranks, though.
Yeah, he would take it too far.
Well, and also just not as smart as Schimmelfinny, I think, because the moment he opens that door to go shake Schimmelfinny's hand, Schimmelfinny launches a pie at his face from seemingly a long distance away.
And then Doc, the rest of the episode is just copying the same pie thing, so not even very inventive.
Well, and he also... Doc bought the worst throwing pies.
Yeah, he's buying pies that are going to hurt somebody.
He buys fruit pies with crusts on the top, not the cream pies that Schimmelfinny ever so smartly has purchased.
That's an expensive habit to get into, pieing people with that kind of pie.
But I guess we should talk about some Fraggles. Red and Moki are on a camping trip. And sort of the kickoff to this episode is Moki telling Red, all Fraggles are pretty much the same.
Because she's mad at Gobo about something.
Yeah, they both seem a little upset and want to be away from Gobo. This was one of those moments that I really like on Fraggle Rock is when we get the one-on-one personal conversations. We've talked about this in the past with Wembley and Boober just like sitting and talking about laundry for a while.
Gobo and Boober do it a lot too.
Yeah, they feel like they're like sometimes the only adults in the room. But this felt like a really, personal friendship kind of moment between them.
This is maybe almost the first time that they've talked to each other by themselves where they weren't kind of like fighting with each other, I feel like, too.
Yeah, and I feel like it's nice to see those. I think you're hitting on it right there. There's so many times we see characters when they are one-on-one, it is conflict, or it is picking on somebody else, or it is something involving directly the plot of what's happening. They're like teaming up. This just seems like a pleasant moment at the beginning. This is just something they decided to do together.
A pleasant moment of talking shit about your friend who's out there.
Yeah.
One of life's greatest pleasures.
Maybe Gobo did something super shitty to them.
He probably did. He's the shittiest of them all.
But Moki is awoken the next morning by the Fraggle Cave song, which I kind of wish we had heard some more of. But she wanders down and sees some Fraggles chanting, "Order, order, order." And these weird, creepy dudes swarm Moki and toss her in a cage.
They are creepy. I think, I loved this to spoil it. I love this episode, but they made them so creepy. I feel like if they had been a little bit less creepy, it would have been like, maybe these guys should be exterminated, you know? Maybe we got to get rid of these guys.
They're a little alienish. They're a little cultish.
Cultish.
My read on them, and this is something I paid a lot of attention to after seeing them, I think their pupils are like 5% too small.
Oh, smaller. Yeah.
Just to make them look like they're not. They don't have the Henson triangle thing where they're all staring right at you, making eye contact. It seems like their pupils are just straight ahead, and they're never focusing on anything. But she is immediately declared an enemy, Fraggle, purely because she is different from them, which is also kind of the theme of this episode, is maybe just people aren't the enemy just because they're different than you.
Don't put them in jail immediately when you see them.
Yeah. And Red returns to the rock to tell everyone that Moki's been taken prisoner by enemy Fraggles. And this is when, don't let the world's oldest Fraggle determine the course of action.
No,
ever.
For anything.
He immediately takes them to go get a weapon.
Yeah.
He is ready to destroy the cave Fraggles. I like the touch, though, that I think it's Wembley who says, "There's no such thing as war. That's just an old Fraggle tale." It was a sweet, innocent moment of his.
Yeah, I feel like this episode, with the world's oldest Fraggle being so old, really like resonates now even more than it did before, because the people who are like in charge are like 8 million years old instead of just like 7 million years old like they were when this episode was made. It's like the world's oldest people who are getting us into these messes, When it's also a very clear generational line being drawn here with the cave's oldest Fraggle as well, showing that there's basically only 2 people in this world of Fraggle Rock currently who even really remember the last time there was anything like a war, and are only the 2 who seem to be really into it. Are Fraggles the only... I think I've talked about this before, but are Fraggles specifically the only Muppets that get old and die? Because not even Doozers maybe get old and die, and Gorgs don't seem to get old and die, except maybe they are killed. Well, I think that's hard to say, because we've seen plenty of old Muppets on The Muppet Show. Like Pops exists. But he was born old, That's your opinion, I think. That's literally true. We have a whole show called Muppet Babies, Sam, that show the Muppets as babies. Yeah. To show that they got older. Right. Do they stop when they get Kermit age? Like elves, They grow into... What elves are you basing these on? J.R.R. Tolkien's elves. Because I thought you were talking like Buddy the Elf. Maybe. No, because Bob Newhart's an elf, and then he's really freaking old. He's really old. That's true. Like elves grow up into adulthood, and then they stay adults forever. So that's what Muppets do too. Well, then how do you explain a Pops? How do you explain Ma Bear, Fozzie's mom? You grow up to the predetermined age that God decides you're going to be when you're old. So you're old or not old. And then you get there and you stop. Well, this also raises the question of which Muppets are the real Muppets, for lack of a better phrase, because you see an old Fozzie and an old Sam in A Muppet Christmas Carol when they show their future. So that's for dramatic effect. What is everything else then? Those are different guys. I guess they are playing characters. Yeah. They had to find an old Fozzie. They were did a casting call for they couldn't even do makeup, like special effects on him? No. Any Muppets that look like this guy but old, please. So old Fozzie's name is like George. Oh. And old Sam's name is like Alec. And they're just two different guys. Yeah, and they're just two different guys.
I don't think I can follow you down this logic trail.
Okay.
But it's also impossible to prove you wrong.
Right.
Which is frustrating for me.
The Fraggles are defined by the fact that generations have passed.
I don't know if that's any different than Muppets.
Of life. I think it is. I think the Muppets know they live forever. Like in the new Electric Mayhem show, they know that they live forever.
Is Gonzo the only one that's truly aware of it then? And that's why he's not afraid to do anything?
No, because they mentioned, I think well, yeah.
Because if not, if they're all aware that they are immortal beings, they should not give a shit about Gonzo's act. Because it's not impressive if they can't die.
Holy shit. Maybe that's why
it is not an act of lunatic daring.
Well, that's why they think he's such a loser. Because they're just like, we could all blow ourselves up, Gonzo.
We do, quite often.
Want to tell him,
have you met Harry?
Yeah. Kermit's like, I ate a tire yesterday. I do not care about this.
I don't always eat brag
tires
about it.
Only. Yeah.
I still don't think you're right. But again, frustratingly, I can't prove you wrong right now. Maybe when we get to Kermit's swamp years, we'll get some more information.
Those are different guys, too.
It feels like it's going to be a convenient answer for everything. Well, getting back to Fraggle Rock, Red sings a song. It seems like she's just trying to lie to everyone about how bad Moki's actually being treated in order to whip them up into a frenzy. And the song quickly turns into World's Oldest Fraggle singing about how we should hate people who are different than us. And ends the song with, "This means war!" So, not great for a show that said it was going to end war.
You got to acknowledge war exists to end it.
I guess you introduce the concept of war. Doc continues his bad pranks, tying tin cans to Ned's car. That's just a nice thing to do if Ned got married, but otherwise...
It seems like he's mid-married.
Yeah.
It's a nice compliment for your friend. Yeah. Like, maybe you could get married. I thought you were married. I was confused.
But Ned throws another pie in his face, to which Doc replies, "Schimmelfinny, this means war." Thus, we have parallel stories.
Yep.
Which they actually, I feel like they did a lot better in this batch than they have been recently.
Yes, they were.
With tying everything together.
Were. Even though some of them weren't as, like, meaningful, it was fun. Especially that things were, like, from below were coming up, like, with the pipes.
Right. As soon as it started, I was like, he's had so many plumbing problems. This better be important. And it's not really important, per se.
No, it's
but
not.
It does tie together, which I was happy about. This is about the time when Moki is meeting Beige Fraggle, delightfully named.
I love
Fraggle.
That. The reveal of his name was quite funny.
Well, the first time they said it, it took me a second to be like, wait, did they just say the word beige for some reason, or is that a character? Yeah. And then later on, they're like, "Beige, get over here."
Well, it's like when he and Red are introduced to each other.
That too,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, that really makes it click too, because you're like, oh, her name's a fun color.
Yeah. You know, I really kept waiting for someone to acknowledge that Boober is boring, like these guys are.
Maybe he's part cave Fraggle.
Yeah, like he came from there. Like he floated down the river and they found him or something.
I don't know that we're ever going to get that Boober origin story, but I wouldn't mind a little Boober in a basket. I am curious, Sam. You don't tell me right now. You texted me this week while we were watching these episodes and said that something we watched this week in this batch was one of your favorite things you've ever seen while doing Kermitment.
It wasn't this one.
Okay.
I'll tell you which ones it wasn't as we go.
All right.
And then when it's the one it is, I'll say that too.
Well, I can tell you whatever it is didn't jump out at me in the same way it jumped out at you, apparently. Okay. So,
well, I think it's very subtly like, well, we'll get to it.
Okay. Well, continuing on with the war episode then. Every time, and I understand this is the point, but like it hit me hard when World's Oldest Fraggle has to keep describing what war is.
Yeah.
And he says, war means you have to hurt other Fraggles on purpose.
Uh-huh.
To which Boober says, couldn't we just have a Fraggle bake-off instead?
They did a really good job of like, because it's so easy to just expose like how stupid war is.
Right.
But it's so effective to, like you said, have to describe like the mechanics of what's going to happen. And then, like, talking up this weapon and getting them all excited about the weapon.
Which he even calls a cruel, fierce, and terrible weapon of destruction.
Uh-huh.
So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I think we've, in the past, speculated that there was... Or maybe they've even mentioned that there were horrible wars that have ravaged all of these species, right? Like...
They did mention, like, past generations doing something bad, or like going to war with the Gorgs, or this is also something I think we have speculated about in the past.
Right.
And
Doozers
so maybe this is all things we've made up.
Doozers have definitely had their problems confirmed. Totally.
Yes.
Because they have had to adopt a Vulcan-like existence where they had to reject emotion, you know?
They left their home planet for Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, Gorgs are all dead except 3 of them. So that also seems like pretty good proof.
Yeah, I think, though, specifically with war, I think at one time we speculated that there was a ancient war between the Fraggles and Gorgs.
Yes,
I don't think there was anything about that in an episode.
We made up. Right. But I think we've also speculated that the Fraggles used to live in the real world and kill people, and I can't remember why we thought that.
That doesn't feel like a we thing as much as it feels like a Sam thing.
I know, it was all, yeah. But in this one, they got weapons and armor and stuff, so that's all been sitting around somewhere and was needed for some reason at some point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to think about.
Do you think Pa killed all the rest of the Gorgs? Like, he knows.
Ooh.
Like, when they talk about, like, where they are, and, like, he's just having flashbacks to, like, the Gorg Wars where he was, like, smashing heads in.
The only witness was the trash heap.
Yeah, she knows, too.
She knows. Well, we get a not that upsetting song. It's called Ho Ho Ho, What a Funny World It Is, a song by the Cave Fraggles.
That was great.
That's a creepy-ass song about how they don't really laugh, but all the things that they find funny are completely mundane, unfunny things.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a Devo song. It was very like sort of that era of electronic music.
Yeah, Rachel was like dancing, and I looked over and she thumbs up and she's like, "Great song."
Even Moki by the end of it, you see Moki in the cage like dancing while she's still imprisoned.
It's kind of a banger. It's kind of catchy. I like when they're like describing jokes that they think are funny, and the one that made me laugh the most when they said, "Did you hear the one about the man who had a son? He had a daughter too," and that was their joke.
Yeah,
I was like, "That's a pretty good joke, actually."
Well, you know, it's not funny, Sam. War, and we've got everyone riled up. Red's turned into a drill sergeant. And Oldest Fraggle's getting everyone armored up. The people are just chanting, "The army! The army! The army!"
They were? I did not catch that.
As they're getting all dressed up in their armor, they're just walking around going, "The army! The army!"
Oh, no. Poor guys.
And they almost forget the weapon, but thankfully, Oldest Fraggle yells out, "You can't forget the weapon. You can't have a war without a weapon."
Yeah.
This is when the cave's Oldest Fraggle wants to interrogate Moki, and we see a really immediately downtrodden Moki answering the same questions over and over about who she is, what she does, her job of getting radishes from the gourd garden.
I think this was it's like a riff on like how you're supposed to just say like your serial number and your rank, you know, like when you're being tortured. Right. Yeah. So she had just been saying that over and over again.
Yeah. No, there's this feels like it was written by a group of people who maybe weren't the biggest fans of the Vietnam War.
Could be, yeah.
A little before this episode would have been made.
You mean a bunch of hippies, Matt?
Yes, precisely.
No good hippies.
And this is where we sort of get the final real revelation as Wembley's been asking questions and asks, why did we hate them enough to build a weapon? And this is when an Oldest Fraggle reveals it was just because they didn't have a good sense of humor.
He's not wrong. Their jokes were creepy.
You're right. But as Boober smartly asks, how can you go to war over not liking the same jokes?
Well, they did it.
They did. But as you mentioned earlier, this is when Red and Beige hit the Oldest Fraggles with pies to the faces that they got from somewhere. And this allows them to free Moki. Don't ask too many questions. It stopped war, Sam.
They had to bring food, I suppose. So.
You need rations.
Yeah, their rations is pies.
But that's pretty much how that episode wraps up. War is solved with pie.
That's the solution they've been getting to the whole show so far.
Haven't tried it yet in real life.
That's true. We got a pie. Pie Putin. That's our next shirt. Pie Putin.
I love it.
We're going to change the world.
Yeah. That feels like maybe not a Muppet Podcast specific shirt, but, you know.
Well, we want to reach a wider audience, don't we? We can get the Pod Save America crowd in here. Yeah. Pie Putin. We'll be on there talking to that guy. Be like, we found out. We notched enough Fraggle Rock that we know.
I mean, Hank was on there, so maybe he can introduce us.
The worst use of Hank's fame, maybe of all time.
I mean, and the worst use of Jon Favreau's time ever.
Yeah, he could be making Iron Man. Iron Man 5.
Different man. Well, what do you rate that episode?
I gave that one a big 4 stars. I had a really fun time watching it.
Yeah, it was a really good one. I like the meeting new Fraggles. Taking a strong stance of anti-war in the Fraggledom.
Yeah. Really brave to come out against the war.
Hey, nowadays,
yeah.
if they made this episode, those woke Fraggles.
You're right. They'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
They'd be boycotting the Fraggles. They'd be flushing them down the toilet. They're Fraggle dolls. They go to the store, they buy $200 worth of Fraggle dolls, and they flush them down the toilet. That would really
Jim Henson Company's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Well, buy more, please.
Make woker and woker Fraggle dolls to be flushed down the toilet. Oh, you're right. I liked how clever it was while also being like the most obvious. It wasn't even a metaphor. It was just like war is bad.
Right. I
think to see these little guys going to war was so sad. It was so like pathetic.
Right. And I think that's exactly the thing is they make war seem pathetic. And they seem through Wembley mostly and also Boober, them asking the questions over and over and trying to find a good reason for war and never finding one.
Right.
Is something that I think does sink into people's heads when they're watching this when they're younger.
But I guess they still do go and march the rest of the way and get ready to do the war, right?
But neither one of them is like, yeah, fire that cannon. Like none of them gets converted over to the other side.
Maybe if Gobo had been there, he would have.
Oh yeah, that's probably why they left him out of it. You're like, yeah, I think Gobo's pro-war.
I love war. Yeah, this is cool. Those guys are living in a cave I want to explore. Let's get them out of there.
Well, moving on to April 30th, 1984, we've got the episode The Day the Music Died. Written by P.B. Nickel, directed by Eric Till. I made the mistake of watching this episode at 10:30 at night, Sam.
Did you get really sleepy?
I did.
I got so sleepy when I was watching this episode, too.
I got so sleepy. It's a very sleepy episode, especially when you're watching it at your normal bedtime.
And they keep saying, oh, no, I'm falling asleep. I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, it's like, I can't. I have a podcast to do tomorrow.
I can't believe it. Because, yes, I kept being like, oh, I got to rewind. I nodded off partway through this one.
Yeah, if you don't want to pay for Headspace or Calm or one of those apps, just put on The Day the Music Died, and you'll be out in like 5 minutes.
Oh, there was no traveling Matt in the last one either, right?
No.
That's weird. Is that weird?
It is
the only time
bizarre.
That's ever happened?
It only happens a few times. I think it does happen more than the once, but usually they find some way to cram it in there. They did not this time.
Though.
Desert Storm? Not yet, I guess. Not quite yet.
Yeah.
It's definitely after
he
this.
Gone to an active war zone.
Yeah.
But he also would have been like, this is awesome.
Right, that's why I couldn't have Gobo learn anything from him. It's just I don't think we want him talking about war with Uncle Traveling Matt.
Yeah.
Something bad's going to happen there in that conversation.
Yeah. I arranged to have a crate of AK-47 shipped to Fraggle Rock.
I'm in Moscow this week. Made some new friends. I sent them your way. They're coming to Fraggle Rock.
He's riding the nuclear bomb down.
It's Slim Pickens at the end of Dr. Strangelove. Spoiler alert.
The silly creatures got the bomb stuck in their launching bay. I decided to help them out.
Oh, if you're out there, Muppet artists, I would like that, please. There's a Muppet artist that I follow on Twitter. His name's Bruce McCorkindale. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of commissions of Muppet drawings of movies. So he recently did one that was like Janice as the bride in Kill Bill.
Oh, yeah. Those kick ass.
I really want to commission him now to do Uncle Traveling Matt as Slim Pickens at the end of Dr. Strangelove. I feel like that is his wheelhouse.
He has done Forgetful Jones as Slim Pickens.
Oh, has he?
I've seen that one before, yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Then we can just imagine that we were talking about that one.
Well, he can just erase Forgetful Jones's face and draw a different face on there. Really easy. We won't even complain.
No, definitely worth a follow and a commission if you have something specific in mind for a Muppet movie combination, because he has done some amazing ones through the years.
Yeah.
But getting into this episode, it starts out with a lovely proclamation from Doc saying, "Dawn and the birds are singing. Is that the most beautiful thing in the world, Sprocket?" And this is when he goes, "Oh, I can't talk to my dog. Now I'm sad."
What a freak, though. He can talk to his dog better than anyone else in the history of the world has ever talked to their dog.
It is weird that he forgets that so quickly because they often communicate through sign language and talking, and he sometimes...
Doc talks to him, and Sprocket understands exactly what he's saying all the time.
Yeah. They have full-on conversations, but yet, for some reason, he now wishes
Sprocket reads magazines. Doc?
Yeah, he's just looking at those pictures of those Arendelles.
That's true, yeah. He's not reading the articles.
Well, Gobo and Wembley have been apparently wandering through the caves for days. They sort of have this weird, allusion to the fact that they've been gone forever. And they also talk about the fact that there's nobody else around because they all must be in the Great Hall waiting for the storyteller to pick whoever is going to write the glory song. There's a lot of exposition very quickly in this.
Yeah, unnecessary in my opinion also.
Yes, it sort of feels like when Convincing John was coming to town and they were like, well, Convincing John's coming to town. He wants to make everyone clowns. And you're like, what? Why? What? I don't understand.
I think, the fact that his name's Convincing John and that he's the most convincing Fraggle, that's all you got to say. You don't got to come up with the clown thing.
Yeah, it's just weird that he would announce that beforehand. Hey, everyone, coming to town. Gonna make you all clowns.
It is kind of a power play, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
You have some time to go buy your clown wigs and your noses and stuff, so...
You can decide what kind of clown you want to be between now and when I arrive, but there will be clowns.
But no, you will be a clown.
Gobo's rocking a slouchy beanie hat that at one point he pulls up and it has a little bit of a brim, but at first it just looks like he's rocking a slouchy beanie.
Kangol hat.
Yeah. Right? And this is when it starts to seep in a little bit here. We get Gobo and Wembley being weirdly tired while they're on their hike. I'm guessing it's just because they've been on a hike for days, wandering through the caves, and they haven't been singing songs. So I guess
so.
The light power is draining from wherever they are.
I don't think anybody was asking why is it not dark in this cave, right?
I bet somebody did, or somebody had the idea. Maybe writer of this episode, PB Nickel was like, "Hey guys, how do they get light down there?" And they're like, "I don't know. Does it matter?" He's like, "I think it does. I think it's the most important thing in Fraggle Rock.
It matters to me." But there's plenty of the cave that's lit up where there nothing lives.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, we've never seen a dark area of Fraggle Rock yet. Everything at least has some creepy red light or something at least.
There's at very least spooky mood light all the time, yeah.
But instead, now we get a weird alien sparkly cloud following Gobo and Wembley. But it's continuing its journey towards the rock when Gobo gets picked to write the glory song. And this is when we get to the point of the episode that Sam mentioned earlier where Gobo's trying to work on a song, but everyone else has their own songs they're singing, including some songs we've heard in past episodes that people are singing. And, Gobo can't do his best work while others are distracting him.
I do think it's really funny that Gobo's like, I do not want to do this. He went through this with the Moon song, I think, last season. He was like, I'm not doing that again. Things went very poorly last time. Why did you never pick Moki, the one who writes the songs all the time?
Yeah, she could write you a weird song in 5 seconds. But all his friends leave, shouting at the top of their lungs, "Gobo says to stop singing!" All the Fraggles start to get really depressed because they're not allowed to sing, when suddenly there's a blackout in the Great Hall.
I like when Moki says it's difficult when you can't just let your essence manifest at will.
She has a lot of very good hippy-dippy kind of lines in this batch.
At this point, I kind of liked how weird the plot was.
Oh,
It was just a hangout episode. I didn't even know what they were going for at this point. Just things were happening, and I was very on board with it.
Well, and it gets very strange because at the very beginning we hear Gobo mentions he hears voices when they're walking in the cave and they're getting sort of sleepy. And you don't really think about it that much. They're getting a little sleepy. There's voices. It's going to come up later, but you don't really know what's happening yet.
I found it so distracting that it's all I thought about the whole episode, and it went just long enough that I was very confused for a long time.
That's completely fair, because this is the point where it finally does start to come back, and Gobo starts to hear the weird, creepy noises and voices again that say, "We need your help." I put in my notes at this point, this is a lot of lore. This is wild that this is happening right now. I did not expect this in the world of Fraggle Rock, but here we are. And they even explain, we've never been able to speak before.
Yeah, Gobo or Wembley's like, we never been able to talk to you before, and the Ditzies are like, we never been able to talk before. Wembley's like, that makes sense. Which I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a joke or not.
Yeah, I don't. That feels like maybe just writing themselves out of a hole of like, well, why haven't they heard it before? They haven't been able to talk before. Yeah, that makes sense.
But to make a character go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just like, it doesn't really.
It doesn't just because you say that.
Yeah.
And Gobo points out how amazing this is. The light spoke to us.
Yeah.
And they need our help. And at this point, I don't know how familiar you are, Sam, but this felt a lot like a Doctor Who episode to me.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
This feels like something that would happen in a Doctor Who episode, that the answer would turn out to be aliens, obviously.
Right.
But there's...
discovering that some fundamental force of something or like something you didn't expect to be alive is alive, and then you have to help them.
Yes, you go to London in the 70s where suddenly the sun is burning out and you're like, the power of song, go the Doors, or something. Like,
oh, okay, that's a pretty good episode, though. You send all of the best, like, the
that's
70s
how
bands
Woodstock
to the
happened.
moon. Oh my God, we just wrote one of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time.
The year is 1969. The sun begins to fade. What can solve it? Turns out the light is only surviving because of music, and music has taken a hit because of the war. And what do?
Yep.
We throw the biggest music festival ever to bring the sun back. Let the sun shine.
Damn, that's good. We got to write a spec script. Nobody steal this.
Yeah, don't steal that. Or pay us a lot and you write it instead.
Yeah. Because the funnest Doctor Who episodes are the ones where it's like, this is like a real historical event that you're learning a little bit about.
Yeah.
I think, at least.
And they can mess with the lore of it. Oh, man. At Woodstock, they sang Let the Sun Shine In. I kind of assumed they did. I didn't know that for sure, but I verified it. That's the end of that episode.
It would be an expensive episode unless England does things differently.
I don't think so. I think you still have to license a lot of music.
Okay, well, we'll still try.
Up in the human world, Doc is having some sign language to communicate with Sprocket, but that mostly involves him sniffing and rolling around on his back.
He says one of his most chilling lines, too, I think. I resent the implication that I've gone mad, Sprocket. That's what you say when you're Bill and Frankenstein.
Well, then he follows it up with, I'm experimenting and doing miserably at it, which is also something Dr. Frankenstein could say.
Yeah.
He's not that self-aware, unfortunately.
No.
Things go a little worse.
At the end of the story, he'd say, I experimented and did miserably at it, unfortunately.
That'd be a soft ending to that book, though.
It's the last line. And then Frankenstein pokes his head in the boat hole and says, yeah, you did. See you later. Yeah.
Well, Trash Heap has a new tall hat of trash.
Why?
Because they're going to do a samba, Sam.
That didn't occur to me that was why.
That's the only reason.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I did right. Trash Heap also has a fun hat. The also being that Gobo just wears so many fun hats.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the Carmen Miranda samba hat.
Right.
But while they go to, the Trash Heap for help, as Sam mentioned earlier, she's not incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
She does give us a delightful musical number, though.
It's wonderful, yeah.
Philo is a chaotic co-singer, and Gunn just playing a saxophone.
How do you get such a small saxophone?
I don't know, but those two are so wild during this song that I was almost like, is this Sam's favorite thing?
No, that wasn't it. I love Philo and Gunn so much, though.
Well, and Wembley starts dancing to the song during this, and Gobo gives him side eye of like, dude, this is not why we're here.
This doesn't make any
Our friends are dying, maybe?
Yeah. I love how many times they've gone up to the trash heap and ended up looking at each other like, this is not
we made a mistake.
Or helping. Yeah.
So Gobo decides to lean on Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard for help, and Uncle Traveling Matt says that he has discovered a race of minstrels, which is really just a busker, played by Phil Balsam, the man who both recently passed away, and is also the man who did all the music for Fraggle Rock. But yeah, basically from that we just get that there's nothing more important to Fraggles than music. So really, if Gobo had just read Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard earlier, he probably would have got just as much information, if not more, than he got from the trash heap.
But it's also, he doesn't know what's going on at all enough to put any information into effect, you know?
Yeah, no, it's
like he doesn't even know they're affecting anything.
No, because he goes down, almost passes out, and decides somehow, kinda, he's just like, I'm not even strong enough to pick up this here mandolin. Oh, wait.
To strum the old guitar. Yes, I am.
Shine on me is the song he sings, which revives the Ditsies and wakes up the Fraggles with the light.
This also is no one's fault or anything like that either. Very strange. I don't know what we're supposed to be gathering from this one.
Yeah, I guess it's just the kind of the nothing is more important to Fraggles than music, which we kind of already have learned previously.
In every episode of this show that has ever existed.
Who wrote the Moon episode? All right, not the same person. Okay. Because this has the same thing. Yeah, like somebody has picked for a thing. There's even a song in that episode called Shine on Us Now. And this is Shine on Me.
Okay.
So,
Shine on Me then. Is that what that one's called?
Shine again, please. Yeah, would you rate this episode, though?
I gave this one 2.5 because I came in strong and then partway through I started falling asleep because the episode's all about being dark and cozy and falling asleep.
Yeah, it's not my favorite episode. It is a bit clunky in some of its storytelling, but nothing in here, upset me. It's not the worst episode of Fraggle Rock we've ever watched.
I wasn't mad or nothing.
I was sleepy, though. But I think that was also going to happen regardless of what time I watched this episode because it is very sleepy. Well, next up is the May 7th, 1984 episode, Doomsday.
Oh, but wait, I thought of a way to fix that episode. What if some Fraggles had come and they were like, it's cool not to sing. Singing's stupid. That would have been neat, kind of, right?
Oh, that there's essentially like a bad guy, an
there's
antagonist.
Like a fad, and the fad is not to sing. Because there's like a really cool guy who's
like
you're singing? That's stupid.
They could be like the Bizarro Minstrels, like another band of like people like that wander into Fraggle Rock.
And they smoke cigarettes and they wear leather jackets.
Yes.
And they're like, you guys are still singing? Stupid.
Wow, I stopped singing when I was a kid. I like that. Yeah. I'm hoping we get a gang like that sometime in Fraggle Rock. I don't know if we do get any like bully Fraggles like that, but I would not mind having some biker dudes show up at some point. Sort of like a River Bottom Nightmare band who doesn't join in the music.
That would be a great energy for Fraggle Rock. Just tearing around the cave, messing stuff up.
Well, I could see Wembley becoming the first one to like put on a leather jacket and join the gang.
Exactly, because he could be convinced to do anything. He'd be like, yeah, guys, singing sucks.
Have you tried smoking?
He would smoke.
Yeah. I take a puff and my eyes do, whoa, that thing.
It still creeps me out when they do that. Because Muppet eyes are not supposed to do that.
It does. It rotates on a weird axis.
And that too. I can't figure them out.
Maybe that's what's more upsetting about it to you is it looks too real.
It's because he is real. That's the only explanation.
Well, next in the May 7th, 1984 episode, it's Doomsday Soup, written by friend of the podcast, Sujith Varghese, and directed by inspiration for the podcast, Jim Henson.
You know, what stuck out to me in this intro that's never stuck out to me before is that they don't have two hands on Moki. Like they couldn't get, because when she doesn't clap when they say down in Fraggle Rock.
Oh.
She doesn't have two hands. She just kind of like moves her one hand. Why couldn't they get a second hand on Moki?
Well, they do sometimes because there's times where she's painting and doing things like that. So she definitely does have two useful hands at times.
Oh, yeah, always. But in the intro for the show, when they clap, she does not clap.
I mean, you gotta imagine they had every puppeteer working during that intro because you have 60 Fraggles in the background. So maybe it was just a resources problem.
Just get a guy in for one day to hold his hand perfectly still. And so it can be clapped against.
Well, this was also the first time I really thought about the intro in a different way, too, where at the very end of the intro, it's when Gobo gets thrown down the well by Junior Gorg, and we see him fall into the pond, and he does the very last line of the song from the pond. He also, if you look at him, he has lost his cardigan in that fall, so he's just down to his sleeveless shirt look, and he's got his super wet hair, so he looks really weird. He looks like baby Gobo when they show him being younger.
Right.
But also, a thing I liked about the end of the intro that I've never noticed before, you see Wembley is not in the pond, but like as soon as Gobo falls in the pond, Wembley runs off screen and then jumps into the pond. to join his friend Gobo.
I noticed that same exact thing. And you can see them throw the puppet over a rock and then the wet puppet come out from underneath.
Yeah.
And it's just like beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it reminds me of in the Muppet Show theme when you see Kermit and Fozzie like, oh, we got to get out of the way of the logo.
Uh-huh.
But yes, Doc is doing some ruthless spring cleaning in this episode, which I am in the middle of myself right now. And so...
Did you get immediately distracted and not spring clean anything at all? Because that happens to him.
It doesn't, actually. I am much more in the hyper-focus mode of I will work from sunup to sundown and even probably till next sunup if no one stops me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have a wife and dog around who are here to distract me from...
And like your toilet didn't explode or anything to distract you.
No, thankfully no plumbing issues to distract me. But yes, it turns out that Doc's pipes are knocking because Boober is hitting them. But he's trying to make his radish gumbo, but Gobo and Wembley want their laundry done. But Boober wants to focus on his gumbo.
They're making me so mad in this scene.
Yeah.
They want same-day service. He doesn't have a dryer. How's he going to get it dry?
Maybe he's got like a steam vent or something?
Or a bug, as I've said before. They just probably have a bug that does that.
But yeah, I felt bad for Boober in this episode because they were picking on him to do all their stuff for him, cook them dinner, do their laundry. And Boober is, having a rough time because he doesn't even have everything he needs for his dinner. He doesn't have the actual main ingredient, which is radishes for his radish gumbo.
And it's also kind of cute and sad because he does love doing laundry and he does love cooking. So he is happy to do it.
Yeah.
They're just pushing him too hard.
Yes. And the Gorgs are also spring cleaning. Again, I like that all these worlds are sort of connecting, or at least things are happening parallel to each other.
Pa spring cleaning was cracking me up so bad.
Well, Pa refuses to spring clean.
Yeah.
Ma is the one who wants to throw everything
throw
out.
This clock out. Pa's like, that's a perfectly good clock. What are you talking about? Which is exactly what I do.
Yeah, she says he's been trying to fix it for 104 years.
Yeah. What if I need this clock in 108 years?
Weirdly,
I throw this clock away. I'm going to need it tomorrow.
Gobo and Wembley, without hesitation, dive into eating a pot of whatever is cooking down in Boober's lab. And they think it's gumbo, but it's actually the laundry wash water.
You got a friend who's making soup and doing laundry. You maybe got to take a second.
And in the same buckets, too. So you got to not dive into those. But they obviously hate the taste of that, so he tempts them over to his now rutabaga gumbo. He had to improvise because he didn't have radishes.
It's trash as well.
Looks like it tastes about as good as the laundry wash water. So then Boober sings a sea shanty. One of my favorite Fraggle Rock songs we've ever had.
I agree. This one was so good. It had really big Gonzo energy. Is one thing I liked
yes. Yeah, it seemed a little different for Boober, like character-wise, and even Gobo and Wembley kind of backing him up during it. Felt a little like this was a performance they were putting on for somebody else, almost.
Boober engaging in cooking is almost too interesting for Boober, Like, not in a bad way, but it's just like an actual...
There's so many intricacies to being a chef versus like...
People who cook, you're like, holy shit, you can cook?
Well, in him doing laundry, he talks about laundry as if he's a chef of laundry, essentially. Of like, I forgot my enzymes. I forgot to do all these different things for my laundry. Yeah. And for us, we can look at that and go, I don't know anybody who does laundry like that.
I'm sure in practice, there is so much you can learn about laundry to do it perfectly.
He didn't have Tide Pods back then, though.
Yeah, but I mean like dry cleaning and stuff, Like there's laundry.
When's the last time you got something dry cleaned, Sam?
Is there still even a dry cleaner in Missouri?
There is. There must be. The green hanger.
I think I brought something in there to be dry cleaned and they said, this will be done in 4 weeks. And I said, oh, okay, I can't do that. Bye.
Yeah. So if the tag says dry clean only, that means I'm never washing you.
Exactly. Don't sweat too much on this.
This episode specifically, I feel like has a weird mix of good songs.
Yes, the Junior song that comes up later, where he's rapping, is also very good.
Yeah, Junior Gorg helping to push forward hip-hop music in the 80s.
Yeah, hip-hop, Run DMC and Junior Gorg, they both really were hitting the scene around now.
Well, Boober has discovered that somebody put yeast in my rock soap again. No one's doing that, Boober. I think you messed up. So he pours the bubbling laundry water into the soup.
Who and why would ever do that in a million years?
Yeah, you're the only one that's cooking and doing laundry in the same room in the same buckets. Clearly you made this mistake and shouted that out as if anyone else was to blame.
Not a good character trait on Boober's part, no.
So because his rock soap has apparently been yeasted, he has to pour it out. And he pours his bubbling laundry water into the soup and creates a glittery concoction.
Do you think that's the lowest moment of Boober's entire life? I got the impression that was the worst moment of his life.
Oh, really?
Pouring the soup in the water into the other one and just being like, I've fucked up the two things I love to do most.
See, I didn't read it that way. I took it as the fact I didn't think he took it hard at all. I thought he was like, well, back to the drawing board, got to do it again.
I thought he seemed like the lowest of the low at that moment. Interesting.
I feel like enough people have messed up his day-to-day life every so often.
But he did it this time. And he blamed somebody else for it too. He's in a desperate
Gobbo, but you used my rock soap again.
Yeah.
We get a quick cutaway to Doc working on the pipes like a surgeon, and Sprocket is his nurse handing him the tools and sponging him off as he gets all sweaty.
Yeah, this seemed like one where maybe they were like, do we have to do Doc and Sprocket this time?
Yeah, because at this point, he solves the pipes with no real problem. He just kind of is like, look at me. I fixed the pipes. But now it's time for the most expensive special effects maybe we've ever seen on Fraggle Rock. Because we get Wembley sticks a stick into the soup to stir it up. I guess this soup laundry concoction. And as he does, the stick disappears in his hand. It is clearly some sort of green screen stick that they've...
the most expensive special effect is they painted a spoon green.
Yeah, and then they make it stick-colored, kind of, temporarily, and then make it disappear.
Very red stick.
Yeah, they're just like, click brown on the computer, paste. Okay, we can't do any shading, so just leave it flat brown.
And clicking brown on the computer took 2 days.
Yeah. Rendering out that shot with the stick took them 6 months. Moki has decided that this soup has been given to them for a reason, and they have been made the guardians of its power. And then Moki pulls a John Cena, waves her hand on her face, and turns invisible.
That's where he got the idea.
Yeah. He saw Moki do it and was like, oh shit, if I do that, no one can see me.
Hasn't worked yet, but maybe it will someday.
He keeps trying.
He's always in his kitchen, like pouring laundry water into different soups. Not this one. That's why I have to get rich so I can afford all the soup. Oh, imagine someday it'll work though. And we'll all just be like, wow. He was telling us the whole time.
Yeah. This is when everyone gets extremely excited about being invisible. To which Boober replies, well, that's fine if you want an alternative lifestyle.
This is very weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird joke to lob in there. But Gobo is the one who actually sees the practicality of it, of using it to get by the Gorgs. And so everyone else is like, hell yeah, that rules. Let's turn invisible. And this is when we get the surprise junior rap called Spring Cleaning. Includes some more dum-de-dums, but they're not the same melody as previous songs have been.
That's like... Beethoven had his motifs he went back to.
The junior motif is dum-de-dum.
That was maybe a smart thing to say. And Junior's motifs are the dum-de-dums. At this point, I've accepted it.
Yeah.
You know what? He dum-de-dums, whoever, and then Beethoven or whoever went dum-dum-dum-dum. So really, are they so different?
I think they're identical.
Was that Beethoven?
That's where Beethoven got it from.
Yeah, that's where he got the idea.
But Junior stops dum-de-dumming when he sees some magic radishes walking across his garden.
Yeah.
And Red convinces him that they are magic radishes. I feel like this is the best version we've seen so far of Fraggles tricking Junior.
Yeah, this is a really good one. Because it also plays directly into how much Junior respects vegetables, which is a personality trait of his that I really like.
Yeah, we've seen him be really, really naive to some of the Fraggles tricks before. But this one felt like it could totally happen in Fraggle
There was
Rock.
a floating radish. What else are you supposed to think?
Yeah. Ma and Pa would have also been like, those are just floating radishes.
Yeah.
And what else could it be?
Son, have I not told you about the floating radishes? But I didn't quite understand what Boober's malfunction was here.
No, because I think it's handled poorly.
Okay.
Sorry, Jim Henson.
Yeah.
Your directing in this moment was not the best. As they're running back to the rock after they've just tricked Junior, right as they're about to kind of run into the hole, it wears off, and Boober's still outside. And so I think because...
For like 1 millisecond.
Absolutely. He doesn't actually come close to being killed by any Gorgs or anything like that, but he thinks he was in danger. And because of that, he starts to see this thing as a bad thing because it almost got him killed.
I think he's overreacting.
Absolutely, which he normally does, but it usually comes back to like prove him wrong.
Yeah.
In this one, it proves him right, which is
for like an act of God reason, though. Who could have guessed the soup was going to explode?
Yeah, at this point, he does not know that. At this point, the only way he sees the soup being a negative thing is because it eventually wears off, and he almost got thumped, even though he didn't.
He's too slow. That's really the problem here.
Maybe if he made a stronger batch with more, they could make it so that it lasts forever.
See, this is how you get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
This is when you blow up all of Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, the first taste was free. Well, then there's a rock quake, which surprised even me.
Yes.
And is maybe possibly caused by the soap, which has now begun to bubble and erupt.
But it's a bit unclear.
Yes, it seems to be connected, but we also don't necessarily get anything besides Boober assuming that they're connected to prove that.
Right.
This is the moment when we find out that one of the Doozers has a bad Doozer name because the Doozer tower collapses and one of them is hanging on by a rope. And they yell, "Hang on, Snorkins!"
That's not a tool. Is that a kind of a tool?
I don't think a Snorkin is anything. Like, snorkel would have been a little bit more of a something, but I don't think a Snorkin is anything. It's almost the Snorks. Those
the little guy, the fake
Smurfs.
Yeah, there's an episode of the Snorks called Snorkin' Surf Party.
Of course there is.
So, snorking around. There's another one.
I was a little unclear, though, because when we cut back to Doc, he is fixing his pipes again and, hitting on them. And I'm wondering, is there a chance that Doc's pipes breaking caused the rock quake as opposed to the rock quake causing his pipes?
Oh, they didn't have enough scientific evidence to determine if it was the pot of soup or not.
Right.
They were too hasty in getting rid of it.
Right.
So the real moral of this is that something about science.
Yes, precisely. And this is when Boober goes to throw out the soup, which I guess he has to do out in the gourd garden. So he goes out there. Junior confronts him. But
is that really the reason? I guess he has to do it. Was that really the reason?
I don't think they say that, but I'm saying, why couldn't he throw that out in the cave somewhere? I guess he thinks it's dangerous. So
I suppose.
If it's going to be dangerous, make it dangerous elsewhere.
Yeah.
So he goes to throw out the soup and confronts Junior. Junior is like, "Hey, Fraggle, I'm a Gorg. You're a Fraggle. Be afraid." And he's like, "I don't have time to be afraid."
Yes, there's bigger things afoot.
Yeah. The bravest Boober has ever been. Purely because he's mad his soup didn't work out.
This is all just an overreaction to his bad cooking day.
Yeah. But Junior steals his gumbo and takes his sip. And then not much really happens. But Pa also gets to drink it. And steam immediately pops out of his ears, and he floats into the air. And Junior doesn't trust it now, and so he throws it over his shoulder, and it immediately explodes. But, I feel like we haven't had a nice Muppet explosion in a while.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to have an explosion be part of the end of a plot line again. And that's also kind of just the end of the episode.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Sam?
I gave this one 2 stars and wrote that this one is kind of nuts.
This batch is a weird batch for me. I enjoyed the experience of watching them all, but I don't feel like I don't have strong feelings, positive or negative, about any of them. They're all sort of middle of the road, maybe a slightly above average episode for me. Like,
I think if I was going to make like an essential episodes of Fraggle Rock, the Fraggle War would be one of them.
I would agree on that one. I do agree that one is great. And especially hits the tone of the message of Fraggle Rock in general. These other ones are just so bizarre or handle their stories in such a clunky way that I don't necessarily know how I feel about them. And speaking of, we've got the last episode of this batch. So this episode aired on May 14th, 1984. It's called A Cave of One's Own, written by Susan and Jerry Jewell, and directed by George Bloomfield. Doc is trying to get a petition signed to stop an old abandoned captain's house from being turned into a bed and breakfast. Old NIMBY Doc over here.
Yeah, well, that's NIMBYism of a different sort, because it's like trying to make your neighborhood not be bought up by Airbnb people, Whereas other NIMBYism is like, I don't want like low-income housing built.
True, he wants the abandoned house left there.
Yeah. He wants it to be there.
So yeah, he has a very specific hatred of tourists, I guess.
Right.
Yes.
He's trying to stop his neighborhood from being gentrified.
Yeah, I guess we don't know that he would say no to affordable housing. But he does say some interesting things here when he says, you, me, Ned, and Fluffinella have had this little street to ourselves since I don't remember when.
But we saw him moving in on the first day of the show.
First episode, Doc. I remember.
He does get hit in the head a lot, I think.
But maybe, I don't have any explanation for why.
Maybe he and Ned used to live together and he got kicked out. He had to go live in the shed.
In the shed.
Yeah.
But we do learn a little bit about the geography of this. Clearly, there's like a small street that there's only 3 houses on. The old captain's abandoned house, and then Ned and Doc. And there's a beach and a pier nearby.
So does that mean that they're right on the beach, you think?
It seems like they're in sort of a cul-de-sac near a beach pier area. Because they've said that there's a bay nearby. They went and got seaweed. So there's definitely some, Maine vibes, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But Moki is meditating down on Fraggle Rock, and Red interrupts her, swinging her paddle around. We get another weird, good gobo hat going on in this episode. It's like a little bit of a decorated bowler. It's like a paisley bowler, almost.
Yeah. Do you think that they think his hats are stupid, the other Fraggles?
And they just don't say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good one. How much did you spend on that one, Gobo? Oh, that's a lot.
You invented money to buy that hat? Wow.
I traded all my doozer sticks I got yesterday for this hat. And they're like, oh, that's a choice.
Yeah, if it would be great if it all led up to like a season finale where there's like the haberdasher Fraggle who's just like, I got one sucker. I made up hat bucks and I'm so rich in hat bucks now because of him.
I made one hat and this guy walked by. He's like, cool hat. And I was like, you want to buy it? I'll make you a hat a day. You keep buying my hats.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of this, Gobo and Wembley are like, hey, you know what? We'd like some fucking peace and quiet.
For all of you to leave.
Leave our house.
In the middle of our house. Rude.
But we learn that apparently Red and Moki have not been living anywhere.
No.
This entire time. We've speculated because we haven't seen where they've slept. And they must have their own cave somewhere.
But we've seen them meet up with each other just in some nondescript nowhere place. I think when like Moki went to say goodbye when she went to join the minstrels, she just went to like a place, She's like, I'm going to go see Red and say goodbye. And that seemed like where Red lived, which was nowhere.
Yeah. Raises more questions than answers of where the hell are these guys sleeping?
Especially when they have so much stuff. Like, where's Red's stuff?
Red has a ton of stuff.
Just scattered all over
Moki,
Fraggle Rock.
Very minimalist.
Gong and pet. And that's it.
But they decide that they should have their own cave and be roommates, to which Gobo replies that this is the worst idea. You're going to be terrible roommates. And I thought for sure we were getting another line drawn down the middle of the room plot line here.
We got close.
We got pretty close. Instead, we got somebody throwing somebody out a window, which is the less common sitcom plot, I would say.
Yeah.
They sing a song called Somewhere There's a Special Place about their dream cave that Moki imagines as a really relaxing, snug cave, and Red imagines playing all night and having a swing with a playground and funhouse vibe.
And what they end up finding is basically the Friends apartment equivalent of a Fraggle Rock cave, I think.
Yeah, it's got the best view. It overlooks the Great Hall. I guess it's either the best or worst location, depending on how noisy all the other Fraggles are going to be.
Yeah, but they're young and metropolitan, so they like to be, like right above downtown,
in the city.
Just get out there and start living.
Yeah. Moki gives the cave a blessing, thanking the spirit of the cave, which Red is immediately not into. I imagine this is sort of the equivalent of like a friend burning sage.
Smudging.
And, in your new place and being like, cool, I'm going to go get the couch, though.
Yeah.
And Moki moves in with her, again, like 2 things. While Red brings in barbells, paper chains, her trophies, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that she needs like 3 other Fraggles to help her even carry.
Yeah.
And Moki starts to lose her mind a little bit. She sees the clutter starting to build up on Red's side of the cave.
I always pegged Moki for somebody who had a lot of tchotchkes, though, She seems like she'd have little things.
Moki seemingly immediately lies to her friend Red, saying, well, okay, I'm going to try and embrace some of your cluttering, and maybe you'll embrace some of my little organizational thing.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly a lie. Clearly she just wants Red to be more like her. Until Moki brings out Lanford, which is a night-blooming yellow-leafed deathwort, a terrifying Audrey 2-like plant.
I love this guy.
I don't think we ever see Lanford again. Maybe.
No, we do multiple times.
Do we?
I looked him up.
I didn't look him up.
Just to make sure. And in fact, on Fraggle Wiki says he plays an important role in several episodes.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. I just liked that there was a guy in the background that was kind of giving a little motion to everything and just like made it feel really alive in there.
Moki wakes up Red with a gong to start the welcome to the day ceremony. And Red's like, all right, well, I guess I'll work out. And she has one large dumbbell for her arms and a small little one for her tail.
I love that. This scene had two really great parts where when it's morning and Moki's looking out the window, she's like smelling and she's like got like her leg raised up, you know?
Mm-hmm. She's doing like a little like morning stretch routine. Little yoga.
I really like that. And then the little tail weight was like, this is great. So much great details. I don't know why it makes Moki so mad that she's lifting weights though.
Yeah, this is, I think, my least favorite episode of this batch.
Wow.
We'll get to more reasons why. But I think largely it's because the conflict seems extremely manufactured in a way that doesn't feel natural. Or they keep telling me that...
just the weights, but...
They keep telling me the problem is one thing when it's like another thing. And so I don't necessarily connect with the story being told here.
I think Moki's a worse roommate than Red. And I think they have to come up with some reasons that Red is bad. Because Moki has a plant that tries to kill Red. So that seems like pretty bad.
Well, it also just feels like a lesson that's been taught before. It feels like a lesson that wouldn't take this long for them to realize. It seems like exactly what happens when Red tries to be Moki in an episode. When she's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be more like you because everyone likes you. And they're like, well, I like you because you're you, not because you were like me, which is literally what they say at the end of this episode.
I guess so. Continue.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you now.
Well, while they're exploring for decorations for their cave, which they apparently need more stuff in their cave, Red mentions that a merc monster lives nearby. And then a gigantic hand,
horrible hand,
skeletal, reddish, brownish hand reaches out and grabs Red.
That kicked ass. I like this part a lot.
And then just tosses her back with no ramifications. Seemingly, she's fine. Yeah. She doesn't just tell anyone this happened.
Maybe she karate chopped him, you know?
I was waiting for her to be like possessed or something after this. I thought she was going to come back and be like, the merc monster got her.
Just getting terrorized by a gigantic, awesome hand.
Got tossed by a giant, awesome hand that we'll never see again.
I love the giant hand.
I thought that might be your favorite thing.
Yeah, it reminded me of like those Looney Tune episodes where Porky Pig and Sylvester are like staying in a haunted house. Have you ever seen those? There's like 3 of them.
Probably, yes.
Where like Sylvester's trying to get Porky's attention and be like, look, we're in a fucked up place. And there's like a ghost with like a gun who's like shooting at him, and like Sylvester takes a bullet for Porky, and Porky is just like oblivious the whole time. Like one of the best, I'll link it to you. One of the best Looney Tunes is one of these. And it just great energy, I thought.
But the monster hand is not your favorite thing.
This whole episode is my favorite thing.
Oh, the whole episode is one of your favorite things you ever saw.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was specifically the monster hand.
No. I think there's so much good puppetry in this episode. I think the characters are so great in this episode. It reminded me of an episode of Friends, which I really appreciated.
This is why you're mad at me.
And it had this part where it's spooky, which is great. Well, it checks off all the boxes. Friends, spooky. It reminds me of that one episode of Looney Tunes. That's what I've been waiting for this whole time.
That is just your brain blended into one episode of Fraggle Rock, I guess.
Yeah. No, I loved this one. I think they were all like as human as I've ever seen a puppet in my entire life. Like in this one, I believed that they were all real little guys. I thought it was hilarious at the end when Gobo keeps trying to help and they're like, fuck off, Gobo, forever.
Yeah, it almost seems like he helps for a second. And they're like, no, actually, you're making things worse. Go away.
Worse, and I'm going to throw her out the window again.
But before we get to throwing people out the window, we have a song called Share and You're Not Alone. A song where they dance around and pretty much just show that the cave is small. Is sort of what it seems like. This is the housewarming party now.
This part didn't quite work for me because I think that they were trying to imply it was cluttered.
Yes, this is my main problem, Sam.
Okay.
The main source of the conflict at the end of this episode comes from the fact that they keep talking about how small this cave is. All the friends being shitty house guests coming over being like, real cozy in here, your stupid small house. But I think Moki gets upset because the smallness is caused by the clutter, but nowhere during that song or anywhere else is it clear to me that the smallness is from the clutter. It feels like the cave is just built small.
But it doesn't even look smaller than like the set of the other cave.
Not really.
It just is them being like, oh, excuse me, gotta get by.
Right.
But there's like a big table set up in the middle or something like. Yeah. Like, if you set a big table up in Gobo's house, it would also be like that too.
Yeah.
There could have been better set decoration in this part to make it look like there was like boxes of crap everywhere, I think.
Right. Yeah. If there was like a tension building of Gobo and Wembley not being able to squeeze through somewhere, it's because there's a trophy here and a barbell here. And they're just like, well, there's not much space in here. And Moki's like, yeah, well, Red likes her stuff.
Right. In my headcanon, that's what was happening. So I could excuse that part.
Right.
But that I was confused by like what was happening exactly. Because it's not even clear until like they say it a few times that what's happening is that they're like cluttered and squished up. It just kind of sounds like they're talking to each other through the song for some reason.
Yeah, the song itself is like not a great song for Fraggle Rock, but also unclear why it's there or what it's trying to tell us. Well, this is when Gobo brings an Uncle Traveling Matt postcard as a housewarming gift.
It's like the Fraggle version of when somebody brings a guitar to a party and you're just like, oh.
Well, especially if they brought it as a housewarming gift for you. They're like, well, I brought you a song that I wrote. You're like, no, get out of here. But this Uncle Traveling Matt postcard is Uncle Traveling Matt breaking into a house.
That's exactly what I wrote. He broke into a child's room.
He's breaking into a child's bedroom where we see plushes of Kermit, Oscar, and Bert. Mm-hmm. He basically just breaks in, and that's kind of it. He hides amongst the toys.
Jumps in her toy chest, yeah. It's a great 80s room, though.
Oh, yeah. Definitely very, E.T. inspired vibes happening here where he's hiding amongst the toys in his very 80s room. But that's kind of like the lesson that they pull from it is just sometimes a Fraggle needs a space of their own.
Yeah, which is not applicable to anything said in the postcard at all, I don't think.
No, and it also is kind of what the beginning of this episode was, but not really at this point.
Right.
Like, the resolution is not Red and Moki need to move out and have their own spots. Like, the resolution is that they need to work together, which is not really the same thing as a Fraggle needs a space of his own.
But they want to live together.
Yeah. And they, keep trying to convince Gobo that they're not fighting. And I think that's, again, my main issue with that is that the conflict comes from the cave being too small rather than them being really different. So I feel like if their differences had been highlighted more as the conflict was building and they were trying to sell me on like this is going to boil over, the fact of like it seemed because they didn't sell that the smallness was because of clutter, it just felt like now that they were angry about the fact that they chose a small apartment.
I think it, and it doesn't even bring that up until the party part.
Right.
So they definitely, like, the party part is the bum note that they should have done a second, like, pass.
Yeah, like when they move in, they're not like, oh, this is kind of small.
Yeah, and they kind of put a hat on a hat with the tug-of-tails thing, knocking stuff over.
Right.
It's like, they could have just done that. Like, Moki, there's too much, like, Moki doesn't want them to have this big rough housing thing in the apartment.
Yeah. Like, the fact that your apartment is too small for sports, like, every apartment.
Everybody says too small for sports, yeah.
But this is when Moki gets upset, Red gets sad, sits in her hammock and just says, what happened to the good old days when all I did was laugh and swim? And Moki gets a murderous look in her eyes as she says, oh, you like to swim, do you? And she slingshots Red from her hammock down to the Fraggle pool.
I think another thing I like about this episode and the first episode is that I think I like the pairing of Red and Moki more than I like almost any other Fraggle. Like, they feel like great main characters to me.
Well, because they feel like real friends who are very, very different. But they don't feel like they're like needlessly shoved together. Like when we saw them on a camping trip at the beginning, I didn't think, what are those two doing on a camping trip?
What are they doing together?
But if it was Boober and Moki, I'd be like, huh, okay, what plot are we trying to push
There's
here?
Some gossip here. What's
right.
going on?
But Red and Moki, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Those two would go on a camping trip.
Right.
But it also makes sense for them to be terrible roommates.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed they already were.
They just lived next to each other nowhere instead of next to each other in a place.
But we find out Lanford is dying. He just needs water. I thought it was going to be like, your friendship energy, the negative energy is killing my plant.
No, they just threw some crap on top of him and killed him. But I don't know. This part I thought was funny too. Because I thought it was cute that Red was like all of a sudden worried about it.
Well, yeah, if you had a plant, like, plants die. That happens. It's a bummer sometimes when your plants die. But if your plant was able to like speak to you and then it died, that'd be way sadder.
That would be really horrible.
I mean, that's essentially what happens in Little Shop of Horrors, is he decides to kill people instead of let his plant die.
Yeah. That's true. It's less horrible when that plant dies too, but yeah.
Well, yeah, by the end, it's like, all right, yeah, this is probably...
First, it's fine. When he kills the mean dentist, that's okay.
Yeah, how many lives is this worth? A lot, unless it's the girl I like. Well, finally, Red and Moki seemingly decide to talk out their issues and be honest with each other. But not actually, because then Red decides to slingshot Moki into the pool.
It was all a ploy for Red to get revenge.
Yeah, which it did not. It felt like a genuine Fraggle Rock resolution moment, which I really did enjoy. Because then it immediately turns to, again, a murderous Moki walking back up to their cave. Gobo trying...
Red can't let somebody throw her out the window and not answer that, I think it made sense.
But this is the moment when Gobo tries to step in and help things, and Moki just yells, "This is between me and her." And they start fighting again. Wembley says to Gobo, "If they're fighting, why are they hugging?" As they start to stop fighting. Gobo does this really good thing where he turns to Wembley and attempts to answer him because he's the guy who always has the answers. And he has nothing. And he just goes,
I have no idea.
I'll ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just does kind of resolve in that same way of like that I want you to be you, I want me to be me, but that's what I want. Oh, you want the same thing as me? Let's just be each other and not try to change each other. Conceivably, they live there now forever.
They definitely do. That because I couldn't live in a world where they didn't keep living in that cool apartment with that plant, so I had to look it up on Muppet Wiki and make sure that they kept coming back.
All right.
And the plant does and the apartment does.
Good.
And I'm happy for them. I wanted them to have a place, a place of their own.
Well, Doc has some plot line boiling up here because he returns from his protest against the B&B.
It's clearly a changed man.
Yes. He says he met the owner, Miss Ardath, who he mentions is an attractive woman. And she invited Doc to tea along with Sprocket, because she has an Airedale named Marigold that we talked all about earlier when we were trying to debate which was the hottest dog.
I've just been racking my brain to try to figure out how an Airedale could be sexy.
Well, maybe that's another commission we could ask an artist to do for us.
I have a feeling we wouldn't have a problem finding someone who could draw us a sexual dog.
Wait, are you telling me that on the internet, someone will draw an animal in a sexy fashion?
Matt, I got some news for you.
Well, I've got some Googling to do when we're done podcasting here.
Yeah.
And speaking of, it is time to wrap up our talks of Fraggle Rock this week and move on to our Muppet of the Week. Before we get into our Muppet of the Week, Sam, what'd you rate that last episode? I don't know if I asked you.
I rated it 4. Hell, I'd give it a 5 if I could. I had such a fun time in this one.
Do you not do a 5-star scale?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
4 is maximum in my opinion.
For today, at least.
Can't remember why. It's always been this way, I think.
Well, I'm not going back to check.
Somebody go back and listen to one and tell me.
But this week's Muppet of the Week is Sprocket the dog.
Oh, you ain't done Sprocket yet?
We ain't done Sprocket yet. And come to find out, there's a lot less about Sprocket than I assumed.
Well, I think he would only really show up in this show and also Muppet Christmas, whatever.
There's a couple
Muppet
other
Christmas
appearances.
Guys. Okay.
So, as you know, at this point, Sprocket is Doc's loyal sheepdog from a long line of fantastic Muppet dogs, including the long-forgotten Rufus that we always will remember fondly, but unfortunately...
Yeah. I mean, he is Rufus reborn, in my opinion.
Yes.
Little less cute than when Rufus was talking in that one. And he was
yeah, the Tinker D one
really
where
cute.
Rufus got to talk.
Yeah.
Fantastic Rufus. And then they removed all the charm for Hey Cinderella. Well, Sprocket made his debut in season 1 of Fraggle Rock, just like all the other Fraggle Rock characters. But he will also show up in The Muppets, A Celebration of 30 Years, which is the next and I believe last time we will see our Sam and Friends. That's from 1986, so we've got a little bit of time until we get to that. He also vacations with Doc in A Muppet Family Christmas. He will appear as a member of the Organization of Muppet Dogs in episode 110 of the Jim Henson Hour.
That's fun.
He also appears in the Dog City special on the Jim Henson Hour. And he will also be in the Muppets at Walt Disney World.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's a scene where there's 1 billion dogs.
Yes.
Because Rolf gets thrown in the dog jail.
Yep, he is in the dog jail with Rolf. And that's not all, because he also cameos in crowd scenes at the beginning and end of the Muppet Christmas Carol where he's wearing a suit.
What the hell? Oh, yeah, I'm looking right now. Good for Sprocket.
Yeah. So as far as performers go, Steve Whitmire was the main performer on Sprocket back in the day. He was assisted by Karen Prell, who is also the puppeteer behind Red, and she would perform the dog's right hand and wagging tail. In Back to the Rock, the new series on Apple TV, John Tartaglia is now the puppeteer behind Sprocket. And if I remember my listening to podcasts correctly, is also, at least sometimes, still assisted by Karen Prell. And in the animated series, Rob Paulson is the voice of Sprocket, the man who also does Yakko, Pinky, Raphael, and many more cartoon characters from your childhood. If you are the age
Sprocket talk?
Me and
or does he woof?
Oh, I think he just woofs. A few fun facts about Sprocket. In France, he is Croquet, or Croquette. The other fun fact, weirdly, in the UK version, Sprocket is a fan of Arsenal Football Club, which he apparently bonds with one of the doc replacements over there. Or their love of Arsenal Football Club, because the UK one has 3 different doc replacements.
Multiple docs?
The first doc passed away mid-series. Yeah, the captain passed away, and so they replaced him with somebody I think named PJ? And
PK.
Then PK, and then he gets replaced by somebody named BJ, I believe. There's 2 initial guys.
BJ and PK.
Yeah. And one of them is an Arsenal Football Club fan, and the other one is a different football club fan, and so they don't get along at first.
Oh, BJ is the son of the UK version of Ned.
Yeah, but not Schimmelfinny. He's got a different last name.
No, he is Burt Whistle.
That's pretty good.
I can imagine a British person getting really mad
Burt
at somebody named Burt Whistle. Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, that is all about Sprocket for now. What do you rate Sprocket?
I think Sprocket's one of the greatest Muppets of all time. He's adorable. He's great at miming. He's a dog. And Muppet dogs are like the best Muppets. So I'm going to give him a 10. I love Sprocket.
I gave him a 10 as well because I put in my notes, how could he be any better?
There's literally no way that he could be better. That's a great way to think of it. There's nothing you could do to him that would make him better.
So before we get out of here, Sam, I have to ask, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
I've been trying, Matt, to think of something that I haven't talked about already, but I didn't do anything this week.
You haven't played any Zelda?
I haven't played Zelda yet because I'm trying to get to level high enough in Fortnite so I can stop playing for the season.
What is your goal there?
150. I'm at 120.
All right. Well,
so I'm really close.
I asked as if I was going to be able to talk about that with you, and I don't have anything to say as a follow-up because I don't know enough about Fortnite.
You unlock different stuff, like decorations for your characters. And so the highest you can get is level 200, and as you get higher, there's you can have this guy, and you can have his backpack, and you can have his glider, but then his pickaxe will be level 140. So the last thing I want is level 120. So then I can have the guy have his matching thing. So it's so mean. You get him level 5, you get the guy, and then level 120, you get the guy's pickaxe. Rude, but that's how it is, and that's what I have to do.
That's how they keep you playing.
It's my job now.
They're trying to keep you away from Nintendo.
What about you? What have you been doing?
I've been rewatching season 1 of The Bear to prepare for season 2.
Almost out.
Yeah, and my wife did not watch season 1 with me when it came out.
It's a great show.
So I got her to start watching it with me, and I just want to go back to Chicago and get a good Italian beef now.
Great show. Chicago, hell of a city.
Hell of a city.
How could you go wrong with The Bear?
It's a show I watch where I realize halfway through an episode, I bet other people hear accents in this show. And I just hear people that sound like everyone I grew up with.
I don't think they sound like they're very accenty to me. Like, there's maybe a couple characters who really lay it on.
There's one guy in the first episode who's like, hey, I'm here to pick up the sausage. And you're like, oh, okay, Chicago, step it back.
I think that show forever made me feel way too guilty to ever order DoorDash because of that one episode where they get all those orders.
Yeah.
And then like reading a little bit about like on Reddit of people's DoorDash experience who work in restaurants and just being like, no way. That just fucks up everyone's life. I can't ever do that. But that's I love that DoorDash episode. It's
very good. I think that's the next one we've actually got queued up to watch. But great show. I'm excited to see where it goes second season because it kind of is one of those shows that could have ended at one season and I would have loved it still. So curious to see where it goes from here. Well, Sam, before we really get out of here, I do have to tell you that I went on Mid-Journey while we were talking.
Oh, no, don't show me a sexy Airedale.
Well, so I asked it to give me a sexy Airedale. And
it says that's illegal.
It sent me, so Mid-Journey, for those that don't know.
It sent you to jail. It sent your information to the FBI.
I was surprised, actually. Sometimes it pops up and says, like, we can't do that. You can't do that. This didn't stop me at all, but it did send me, like, that little quadrant of pictures.
Yeah.
3 regular Arendales. They're like, you know what? No way to improve that.
No notes.
No
Perfect
notes.
Animal.
I am sending you the quadrant picture, though, because there is a 4th image that they included. We got 3 regular dogs and then a dog wearing a top hat and a bow tie. So they're like, okay, we don't think we can improve and make this a sexier dog. But if we can, it would be wearing a bow tie and a tuxedo and a top hat.
That's amazing. Now we know what the computers think is sexy.
Yeah. Notably, his top hat also has a bow tie. So that's the key. If you want to be sexy, you need a top hat that is wearing a bow tie.
If you want to be sexy to a computer, you have to wear a top hat, bow tie.
So let's actually get out of here, Sam. Start talking. We've talked way too much about sexy dogs this week. But we must let you know what we'll be watching next time. And you might assume we'd be finishing up the last 4 episodes of Season 2 of Fraggle Rock.
You idiots.
Yeah, we're not. We're going to pause Fraggle Rock for a couple of weeks again to discuss The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Hell yeah, baby.
Before the actual film itself, though, it turns out the Muppets did a bunch of TV appearances leading up to the film coming out, and we didn't want to try and cram all of those in to the episode where we want to talk about the film, and so we're going to be doing an episode next week that's just about the lead up to the Muppets Take Manhattan. And so that'll include some appearances on the Today Show, Good Morning America, The Tonight Show, The Merv Griffin Show, a Pampers commercial, and even a music video. And then the week after that will be our episode all about the Muppets Take Manhattan, a film that Sam has not yet seen.
I was keeping it from myself for this event.
It's the last one of the original Muppet trilogy that Sam has yet to see. So I'm very excited to get your reaction to it, to see how you feel about it. I think you're going to like it a lot. I'm going to put it out there. I do think you're really, really going to like it.
I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but I am excited about it.
Yeah. So, join us next time when we discuss the hype and lead up to the Muppets Take Manhattan. So let's thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast. All the little banjo stings you hear throughout and the music for the theme song. That's all
Plucking
Tuna,
on the
baby.
Old banjo.
Actually playing a banjo, not even, telling a computer to play a banjo.
Yeah.
That man played a banjo for us. And our friend Cassie Wilson sang those beautiful words in our theme song. So we thank both of them for that. Don't forget to go to Kermitment.com to pick up your enamel pin, maybe some other stuff by the time this episode's come out. Check out that little shop link in there. And you can also check out our Patreon page. You can also email us at mail@Kermitment.com if you have any more information on what waxing a dog could possibly mean. And you can follow this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at KermitmentPod, which is where we always talk about what we're going to watch next and share the links so you can watch along with us. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.